Are you guys starting a garden right now in April? Well, in this video, I'm going to break down what vegetables you can grow right now in April for warm zones like here in zone 9A. So let's garden on. The first vegetable that you can be growing right now in April in warm zones is okra. Okra grows very well under dry conditions, and you need to be watering it every 7 to 10 days. If you need to improve the quality of your soil, adding a little compost to your soil will greatly improve the structure and drainage of your soil, and adding a little worm castings to the planting hole will benefit the plant too, adding some nutrients. But a good variety that grows well in Houston, Texas is Clemson Spineless. That's what I have right here, so I'll be planting that today in April. The next vegetable that you can be growing right now in zone 9A in April are peppers. Peppers grow well in almost any soil type, but they will grow best in well draining soil. So again, if you have soil that's not draining well enough, adding a little compost will greatly help that soil improve its drainage. But I'm growing a ton of different types of peppers, from sweet to hot. I have the world's hottest chili pepper right here in my hand, the Carolina Reaper, which has a squabble unit of I think around 2.2 million. To give you some context, a jalapeno is around 5,000. Cucumbers are a classic warm weather vegetable that you can be growing right now in April in warm zones like zone 9A or warmer. I have some pickling cucumbers that I'm growing right here. I started them last month, but if you're starting right now in April, it's okay. You can start them from seed. A good variety to grow in Houston, Texas and similar zones is the Carolina pickling cucumber or the national pickling cucumber. The next warm season vegetable that you can be growing right now in April for warm zones like here in zone 9A are eggplants. Just like what I mentioned earlier, if your soil needs some improvement, adding a little compost goes a long way, because eggplants, they really need soil that has lots of nutrients and is well draining. But I'm growing my eggplants in these 7-gallon grow bags. I'll have a link that you can get them off of Amazon, but they're really convenient because if you have an area where you're not getting full sun, you can move them around because eggplants do need full sun. A good variety to be growing in zone 9A are Black Beauty and Fairy Tale. The next warm season vegetable that you can be growing right now in April in warm growing zones like here in zone 9A are sweet potatoes. These are regular white potatoes, but I plan on growing some sweet potatoes in this exact spot after I harvest my white potatoes in May. A good variety of sweet potatoes to be growing is the Centennial sweet potatoes. And so sweet potatoes, they really need hot weather. And here in Texas, they grow very well because of the hot weather. And Texas is actually the 5th largest producer of sweet potato. So if you're going to be growing sweet potatoes, just make sure that the weather is warm enough. Again, anytime from April all the way into the beginning of July. The next warm season vegetable on this April growing guide for warm zones are pumpkins. Pumpkins can be kind of difficult to grow because of the squash vine borer, which lays its eggs on the stem, and once those eggs hatch, they bore themselves into the stem, which it can be kind of difficult to control. Texas A&M recommends BT for prevention, but once those eggs hatch, it's pretty much impossible to control these pests from destroying the plant because it will end up killing the plant. But I'm growing some pie pumpkins that's going to grow up on this trellis. So again, if you're growing pumpkins or any kind of other squash, whether summer or winter squash, it can be kind of difficult to grow because of the squash vine borer. If you're set on growing tomatoes in zone 9A and starting in April, you want to choose a variety that matures quickly, like a cherry tomato. A larger tomato, like a beefsteak, it's just going to take too long, because by the time it's ready to produce fruit, you're going to have hot summer days, and it's just going to be too hot for tomatoes, especially here in Houston, Texas. But growing tomatoes can be achieved in April if you choose a fast growing variety. If you want to see how I built these cages behind me, I'll have a link in the description and a card above. Alright guys, so that was my what vegetables to grow in April planning guide. If you guys like this video, please consider liking the video and subscribing for more gardening videos. But if you're starting a garden in April, go check out my video on how to build a raised bed with absolutely no power tools. But again, if you guys like this video, please consider subscribing and liking the video.